Well, good morning and welcome to the Really Helpful Club. And I'm Sarah Austin. And this is our In Conversation series where we shine the spotlight on different experts, business owners, entrepreneurs in our network. And I love this series because this is all about understanding the person behind the business, just working out why they do what they do, and typically what business owners are doing in our network and why I think they offer such valuable services is that they are typically solving a problem. They're offering a solution to somebody's need. And we all know that when we have something that is, a burning problem, a burning issue, that before that goes away, it kind of dominates everything about us. And my guest this morning is no exception. I'm talking to Warren Pesch, and Warren is a mortgage broker and the founder of a business called Mortgage Lolly. Love that name. Want to come and hear a bit more about where that comes from, Warren, in just a sec. And Warren is passionate about saving people money when it comes to their mortgage. And we were talking just now about how actually everything to do with property and therefore the funding and the financing of that property is about fulfilling a dream. It's about progressing one's life forward. It's about the end of a chapter sometimes. And so the facilitation of that, the de-stressing process of that is enormously important. So I'm really pleased to have Warren with me. Warren, good morning. Nice to have you here.
Good morning, Sarah. Thank you for the introduction. If I
Yeah.
may, give you a little bit of a background to myself. So although I was born in London, I wouldn't class myself as a true Londoner. I didn't arrive
Mm.
here 30 years later, back in 2000. And I've been here ever since, barring a little stint in Dubai for 18 months. Yeah.
And where did you grow up out of interest?
South Africa, Botswana, Nigeria.
Gosh, okay. Okay, so there is a slight twang to the accent, isn't it? So does that come from that? Is that Warren natural?
No, 100%. That's the Antipodean side. It
Yeah,
creeps out.
yeah, excellent, good. And so what took you? Sorry, I love interrupting. So I have a tendency to interrupt. So forgive me. Is so what took you to those places? Was it to do with what your family did, or what was the
Yeah,
origination of
no,
that?
completely. I describe myself as a typical expat kid. My father was a civil engineer, so yeah, I mean, those were back in the days when traveling was a luxury, if you like. It was wonderful to explore the world and see new places. And it was always in the middle of nowhere, I have to add, though, because
Mm.
it was civil engineering construction. So by virtue, we were at the back end or beyond.
Of course, of course. So it wasn't all sort of glamour and lovely cities and kind of expat sort of country clubs and things like that.
Unfortunately not, no. We were
So
building.
okay, so grew up in these far-flung places with parents who were busy kind of exploring the world through their own dreams, and then you grew up, and then how do you end up back in London?
Okay, long story short, I got
Okay.
into financial services back in 1994, and I was working for a company called Royal London.
Mhm.
This was in the Midlands. I was always very ambitious and wanted to sort of expand or move. So anyway, within the 6 years that I was with them, I got promoted. They moved me down to the South Coast. I was covering Jersey, Guernsey, Isle of Wight, Southampton, Bournemouth, and Portsmouth, sort of a whole of Hampshire region. But yeah, like all things, it came to an end. Lots of new law changes happen as they continually do in financial
Yeah.
services. And I was headhunted by a guy from Legal in General to come to the bright lights of Southwest London, which I did in May 2000.
Gosh. Okay. So you've been here ever since. So and then you were in financial services, obviously being with Legal and General, and then how did you end up now as owner, founder of Mortgage Lolly? What's the segue there?
Okay, well, basically, mortgage broking by and large, either work for a bank where you recommend their products and services, or you're sort of freelance independent consultant. And I wanted to be able to offer advice on the whole of market, a whole range of products. So by virtue of that, I became sort of a freelance consultant.
Excellent. Okay, brilliant. So, so I guess that so you ended up in financial services, and people end up in that sector for a whole raft of reasons. Sometimes just want to be honest about it and go, well, actually, I want to earn a decent amount of money. What lured you in? What was it about becoming a mortgage broker that attracted you into sort of Royal London, and then into
Well,
legal in
no,
general, and then of course, then the lure of doing it for yourself?
okay, I mean, there's a time and a place, so things move and evolve. But originally, great question as well. I got into working with Royal London, which was where we gave advice on savings, investments, and pensions. And I like the idea of being able to help somebody along their financial journey. I've always been fascinated with money, as it were, from a child. And my view was, well, if I can help them achieve their financial goals, aspirations, such, and I actually do get paid for it because one has to earn a living to pay the rent, so to speak. What a great, it was a win-win situation in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. There's completely commendable. So there you are going, okay, right. I'm going to take that leap from being, like a freelance consultant, yes, but now I'm going to run my own business, which is a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it? And so how was Mortgage Lolly? I mean, first of all, how did you come to do that? And then I just want to know where the name came from, because it's a good name.
Thank you. Okay, so when I was by and large, most, not all, but an awful lot, I'd say maybe 60 to 70% of mortgage brokers are freelance and self-employed.
Okay.
They're the masters of their own destiny. I just sort of followed in that line. Quite like being my own boss and having the broad width and band of being able to work my own diary and work as and when I wanted, so to speak. Actually end up working harder and doing longer hours, but at least I have a choice.
Mm.
The mortgage lolly came into effect basically only relatively recently, because I've been freelancing for, gosh, I don't know, 15, 16 years or so, but with very much in mind with what's currently happening in the world in terms of people who are entrepreneurs and looking to expand their business. Search engine optimization seems to be very much the key, as opposed to once upon a time, yellow pages or adverts in free ads in magazine papers and what have you, in the local rags. So I needed to come up with a title that had mortgage in it, but guess what? By and large, 99% of them have all been snapped up. So I had a really long, hard think about things, and then it had a light bulb moment, for want of a better word, and it was a play on words. So mortgage, and I couldn't use money because that had already been taken. So it was, like I say, it's a London East End term, but thought, what a great way. As I say, play on words.
Well, you don't forget it, do you? Which is, I think, one of the first rules of the name of a business is, obviously it needs to make sense, and it needs to be a name that you want people to remember for the right reasons. But I think it's a very good name. And I guess for people watching is, maybe rewind a bit. You've been in this sector, in this industry for a long time, so you absolutely get what a mortgage broker does. And some people will be looking at this and going, oh yeah, because with the internet these days, I can search it myself. I've got great, comparison sites. I've got, really interesting sort of information that I can go and source myself. Is, I guess, what is the role of a mortgage broker, and why does someone need someone like you in the first place? Because of course, your services don't come for free, as as you pointed out. So what do you offer, and why would I come to you in the first place?
Okay, yeah, no, great question again. Right, mortgage broking isn't rocket science. I'm not claiming to be a scientist. However, there are a lot of moving parts, and the laws and rules continually change. And that's what keeps me preoccupied, and has done for the last 20 years, just keeping my focus on property and finance. So by and large, this statistically, 7 out of 10 people who already got a mortgage, i.e., when they look to remortgage, they contact a mortgage broker. Now, if you've already got finance in a property, you're halfway there. But that statistic alone, to me, speaks volumes. So it's more of a case of clarification. And as I say, it's a little bit of a cliche, if I may put it like this, but My job is to put you in your best light towards the lender as to why they should lend you the money in the first place. And why not? Who better? I deal with them daily, so I know their intricacies, or idiosyncrasies, for want of a better word. And yeah, it's the rules are changing. So as I'm immersed in that, uh, what I try and do is square pegs and round holes in a sense, try and match you with the lender's criteria so that everybody gets the end result that they want.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so like any other professional service, really, is that I have a need. I think I might be able to do it myself. Of course, you can't apply that to kind of dentistry and all those other things, but a little bit like doing your tax return. Actually, sometimes it really makes sense to go to an accountant. It really makes sense to go and find a professional in the form of legal advice and stuff like that for things. It seems to me it makes lots of sense to come to you because, in a sense, you are going to charge me a fee, but you're going to, in an ideal world, get me the best match, the best deal. And therefore, in many ways, the ROI on that spend is absolutely justified.
Yes, completely. I mean, I work very much initially on a free fee, no, how can I put it, obligation basis.
Yeah.
Point is then hopefully you see enough of me to see whether you like what I'm sort of putting across and whether you think I'm competent enough. And on that basis, you go forward. And the point being is that, I would say you don't know what you don't know. I know it's a cliche,
Yeah.
but it's true. But by having this conversation, these things come to light and you get light bulb moments and think, yes, that makes sense. My job is not to teach you to be a mortgage broker, but what it is, what I want to do is shield you from the stresses and the pains of going through the process so that, as I mentioned before, it's about me putting you in your best light towards the lenders to why they should lend you the money.
Absolutely, got it in one. And I guess these things are really important because again, your mortgage payments is one of the biggest outlays that you will be making on a monthly basis across the years, etc. So you absolutely need to put the time and effort into getting it right and make sure you're consulting the right people and getting the right advice. So I mean, I like to make these interviews where they are we're not kind of time stamped, as it were, because if someone's watching this in say a year's time, we want to make sure it's just as relevant and they can understand who you are and what you do. But it's very interesting. I mean, we've lived in a falling interest rate environment for a very, very long time, kind of 15, 20 years, I guess. And then we've gone more recently through a change in interest rate moves. So we've been in an upward cycle. And for all intents and purposes, we seem to have peaked in terms of inflation. So that obviously is coming down, thank goodness. And it looks as if we have reached the peak in interest rates. And if anything, the governor of the Bank of England appears to be on the cusp of starting to talk about interest rate decreases. And of course, the stock market and where mortgage companies are appear to be ahead of the game, as they always are, in terms of, for seeing that. So I guess it's, without wanting to put too much of a timestamp on it, if someone is watching this and they are thinking, okay, look, I'm coming up for remortgage or I am about to buy a property, those are two very different scenarios. But what would you be advising people to be thinking about in terms of, the general trend of interest rates, the general trend of mortgage rates, the kind of competitiveness out there? What would be the things that people might want to be thinking about in the sort of conversations they'll be coming to you about?
Yeah, no, the fundamental rules don't change regardless of what's going on in the world. From the sort of get-go, what I would really emphasize is plan, plan, and plan.
Yeah.
The reason being is that, you're quite right, it was unprecedented from March 2009 right up until February 2020 when COVID sort of started and then subsequently the war in Ukraine. But, people always ask me, should I wait? When is a good time to buy? It's really, I mean, if you're looking to buy now and sell next year, then 100% it's worth maybe sitting on the fence and waiting to see how things unfold. But generally speaking, 90% of the time when I'm speaking to people, it's their home. I mean, I do buy-to-lets, but they come after. So primarily it's their home. Of course, it's a huge investment, as you quite rightly put earlier. But again, like you also said, it's a huge emotional pull on the heartstrings. If you're going to live there for the next 5 years and you're in a fixed rate and you know what your given costs are, to some degree, who cares if we go to World War III with Kim Jong-un? As long as you can pay your monthly payments, you've still got a roof over your head. Now, granted, you know, there is a time when it does I call it the concession deal, or the concession rate finishes, and then it'll go to what is commonly known as a standard variable rate. But you can't kick that tin down the alley and try and ignore it. I mean, the alternative is you rent, but your landlord puts up the rents anyway. So you're in the same boat. You may as well own your property.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So maybe, Warren, talk us through a kind of, I guess, you know, a couple of scenarios of people, of clients you've helped, you know, to help them think through that process, and you know why you've helped take the stress out of that decision for them.
Okay, sure. Well, that was a piece of string. But anyway, I'll try to give you a few examples. I mean, it's gone from A to Z. I'll give you one example. I got an inquiry where, really unfortunate incident. The lady had been contaminated with a blood transfusion back in the late 80s with hepatitis B. It's been in the news fairly recently. Anyway, she's won compensation from the NHS. And she's got an income now for life. But obviously, when I got the inquiry, it just said, "Oh, you know, I need a mortgage. I don't earn a living." But it was only through doing a thorough, full fact find that I was able to ascertain the facts. And lo and behold, I actually got her a mortgage. So yes, there's very many guises or caveats to how you are able to attain finance. But you know, with years of experience and really knowing your customer, I mean, that's the emphasis I would say. Then I have the ability to sort of search the market and try and find the right product for you. So that's one example. Even with first-time buyers, I get it where I'm talking to the lender and I have to tell the lender their criteria, which is ridiculous. But yeah, you know, I'm very confident in my abilities, and it's taken 22 years for me to get here. So I guess that comes, that's the bonus then, if you like. In addition to that, I've even had it also, arguably, you get the scenario where the estate agents will say, "Well, use our in-house broker, everything's in-house, keep it simple, why third party and complicate things?" But they're biased. I've had it where I've been able to save, a client had already put down sort of £10,000-15,000 below the asking price. This was in the run-up to Brexit about 2 or 3 years ago, prior to Brexit kicking in. So around about 2019, 2020. So they already reduced the purchase of the price that they wanted to buy, on the house they wanted to buy rather, by about 10,000-15,000. Anyway, long story short, we were going through the motions and the vendor, the seller, was getting extremely anxious and wanted a quick result. Now, it's not a quick, easy, drawn-out process, unfortunately, because as I made mention, there's a lot of moving parts. But, you know, if we plan ourselves in advance and we get the documentation, one will make that process a lot smoother and quicker. Anyway, coming around to the situation where I'd managed to get the upper hand for my client being their broker as opposed to the estate agents, we were sort of getting umming and ahhing from the lender because when the client provided me with their documentation, it didn't necessarily stack up to what they told me verbally. But this happens because, you know, I don't hold people to everything until I actually receive the documentation to back that up, because I've just been doing this as long as I have, and I know that you can sometimes get small discrepancies. Anyway, long story short, on the back of this, they could see that things were sort of wobbling a little bit. And the vendor got anxious and nervous, as I made mention to. And basically, I just turned around and said, "Well, look, we can resolve this in a week." Bear in mind, sort of 3 or 4 weeks into the process, you know, and the lender's only prepared to offer X amount, which was another 10,000 below. And I called their bluff a little bit there because we were still in the process of negotiating. Now, had that been their own in-house broker, they would have had to come clean because their number one client is the vendor who's selling the property. So by me being removed from the situation, I can sort of sit on the fence or be impartial.
So you can maximize the financial benefit effectively, isn't it?
100%, yes.
Okay, very very interesting. So I think hopefully that kind of conveys the story of what you do, how you help people, your passion for helping people. Just take that, taking the stress out of the process. And I guess, Warren, one of the things we really like doing in this series is learning about you as a business owner. And because we get lots of people watching these episodes where they are thinking about starting a business, they run a business themselves. They kind of want to learn from others who, are that bit further down the line. So what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of doing what you do and running a business?
Genuinely saving people money. For me, the finances are important, but once you get the keys to your new home, I mean, obviously you're going to say, great, was presentable, we got on well with him, we're happy with what he has done, he's a nice chap, so to speak, but it's your home, it's your life moving forward. And I get great enjoyment when the situation arises where it's a win-win for everybody. You get your dream home, you've got it at an affordable price. Not all the time, but 8 or 9 times out of 10, you'd be so surprised at how hard it is to get money out of banks. I mean, what do banks do? Lend money supposedly, but yeah, as I say, it's about us presenting and putting things in the best light so that we can get you there. And if you get your dream home and you're happy with the price, and I earn a living out of it, again, to my mind, that's just a great scenario. It's a win-win for everybody.
Everybody has benefited from it, and I guess for someone who is thinking about starting their business, this is independent of financial services. This is just running a business, as you say. You work harder now than you did, but at least you are, to a degree, master of your destiny, and you can choose when you work, but you work pretty hard. What advice would you give to someone starting a business?
Okay, to have a chat with my former self.
Yeah, exactly.
There's perseverance, and actually joining networks such as these, because then you do realise you're not on your own, and it's so refreshing to hear people go through exactly the same sort of pains, growing pains, for want of a better word. Just to realise that you're not on your own. I mean, it's great to sort of share that burden. You think, flipping heck, it's great. Yeah, it's not just me.
Yeah, shared experiences are, have huge value, don't they? And if we were to sit down, and obviously it's great to hear, what you're doing now, but if we were to sit down in say 1 to 2, even 5 years time, which seems like an awful long time, but of course remember you are helping people with mortgages on that kind of level, if not more. What do you think we'd be talking about mortgage lolly in a couple of years' time? What would the Warren Pesch would be talking about then? Where would your dream be, and where's your hopes and goals and aspirations, as looking back in the rear view mirror in a couple of years' time?
Really, to expand. I mean, I'm not looking to go nationwide or global, just to get 2 or 3 brokers working alongside myself. In terms of like a GP group practice, not where one's sort of above another, but as a collective, we work as a team, and just my unique selling points, if you like, as being local, knowledgeable, and I love the area, been here 22 years, and just being there to help.
Brilliant, thank you. And actually, one question which we didn't cover, because of course I know you're in the Southwest London area, but presumably you can help people anywhere.
Exactly. I mean, nowadays with all you need is an internet connection and a mobile phone, and 90% of it can be done like that. At the end of the day, they always like to meet somebody who I'm dealing with, and likewise, I think vice versa. It's always nice to see the whites of someone's eyes, so to speak.
Absolutely. Warren, thank you very much indeed for your time. Lovely to talk to you today. And of course, I guess for me, the message that comes out loud and clear for anybody here is, come to Warren if you're looking to take that stress out of that financial decision making, but the importance of planning, and planning.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Warren. Lovely to see you.
Likewise. Thanks again.
Oh, hang on. I'm trying to press stop, but can't. Where are we?
Yeah.
There we are. So about to press record. Stop recording. There we go. Perfect.
Wow.
Thank you.